some crazy stuff happened in New York. What was the story you were reporting out in New York this week?
Yeah, the biggest thing is nursing homes, and I want to give a heads up and a hat tip to Michael Goodwin of the New York Post. They've been out front hammering this story. The story is about the nursing homes and kind of just the ill treatment and the issues the nursing homes have had. And why have they had that? Well, New York knew for months that the virus was extra lethal in, of course, elderly and nursing home populations, as everyone's reporting. I mean, that's common knowledge. Governor sent out a directive to nursing homes, said that they can't deny patients to nursing homes that they suspect have COVID-19. So they had to take these patients. So the order effectively made COVID patients a protected class. For what purpose, I don't know. Nursing homes had to wait until the patient arrived to do their own tests. And we know, especially early on, if they even had tests, those tests took days because they had to bring out to the centralized CDC locations. They weren't on-the-spot tests.
So they literally just, I mean, this was an incredible story when we started seeing this come up this week. I mean, the one thing, if there was one thing, one data point we had in all of the confusion coming out of China, it appears to be affecting people 65 years and older. If there's one data point we had out of Italy as it moved to Italy, it's affecting people 65 and older. And there's one data point we had as it hit Washington the first time was a nursing home that got COVID inside of it was the first, a handful of deaths, right? Was it 8 deaths or something like that in one nursing home? Yep. We know that the nursing homes were the riskiest place, that people 65 and older. And to find out that Cuomo on May 25th says, I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to turn someone away in a nursing home that was just at the hospital and diagnosed with COVID-19, whether it's a new person coming in or someone that left. And what's the idea? What was the reasoning behind it? Do we have any idea? Well, I mean, I think about this. If there's one data point my 6-year-old daughter understands about COVID-19, it's that grandma needs to be kept away from this thing. So what was Cuomo thinking? Was there a reason behind this?
None that I could see. And again, the New York Post has hammered him on this. He's been questioned about it too, and he really hasn't been forthright with any type of real explanation. Now, understand, this is the same guy that talks about overabundance of caution with the policy, using data to reopen the economy to drive the policies. And this policy he puts out for the nursing homes, it seems to fly in the face of all of that. Now, the other part of the policy that's really crazy is it didn't allow the nursing homes to require testing. So if they have a patient that is being admitted or readmitted, they can't tell the hospitals, hey, can you go ahead and test that patient first before you bring them to our nursing home or bring them back to our nursing home?
Maybe we put them in their own room or the other end of the wing or something like that. We can
exactly.
It really defies all reason.
And the last piece of that is the memo went out, and immediately the next day, the hospitals began offloading their patients because they wanted to clear out these emergency rooms. They wanted to get these people out of there. So they began offloading the patients to the nursing homes. So what that's doing, obviously, when you think about that, is you can't require tests. You can't tell the hospital to do the test.
We've got this right here. Hospitals are under pressure to discharge patients, including ones stricken with the coronavirus, but who don't need ventilators, to open up beds for what Governor Andrew Cuomo says will be a surge of thousands more cases in the next 2 or 4 weeks. However, nursing homes whose workforce is struggling with problems like those in hospitals, arranging child care and managing a shortage of supplies like protective garb, fear the facilities will be overwhelmed. So they basically, in order to clear, let me get this straight, in order to clear beds for the onslaught of cases that were coming, you sent those sick people into the Petri dish where you would create the epidemic that would then force your hospitals to be overrun.
100% correct.
I don't know. I don't want to be too judgmental. I'm not there.
Yes, the nursing homes were caught flat-footed. They were caught completely flat-footed by this memo because they didn't have policies in place to do anything with it. Literally 24 hours after the memo was initiated, they're getting patients. They're trying to shuffle staff around. It's a complete disaster. Shame on Governor Cuomo.
Incredible reporting, Jeffrey. Keep up the good work. And, of course, every week you're writing for the Jackson Report on the HighWire.com. So for those of you that can read and want to take this information a little bit deeper, you definitely want to check out the great work that Jeffrey Jackson's been doing for us. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Is New York a total failure? Is it a total disaster? One would really have to think so when you're looking at these headlines coming out. Why are so many people dying of COVID-19 in New York City? Coronavirus, New York registers record single-day death toll. Deaths in New York City are more than double the usual total. All right, these are terrible headlines. I'd hate to be the one responsible for them. What's going on in New York? So now we know the nursing homes were not protected. In fact, they were forced to take on patients. But there's other issues. Some of these we've covered over the last weeks, but I really want to lay out for you what looks like apparently, a total fail in New York. All right, let's begin with this headline. This is what we all were hearing about, right? New York has enough ventilators in stockpile for about 6 days, governor says. Now, remember, this was a whole issue, right? New York, Cuomo was screaming, I need more ventilators. I need more ventilators. I'm dragging ventilators from upstate New York. I'm getting all the ventilators I can possibly get, right? All right. Well, this is something he may not have seen coming, but now this is the headline about ventilators. High mortality rate in intubated COVID-19 patients in New York City. This is MedPage Today. Nearly 9 in 10 COVID-19 patients who are put on a ventilator die, New York hospital data suggests. In the new study, researchers analyzed data from 5,700 patients who were hospitalized from March 1st to April 4th through Northwell Health, the largest health system in New York, with 12 hospitals across New York City, Long Island, and Westchester County. Of those patients, 2,634 were discharged or had died by the end of the study, and 320 patients with a recorded outcome were put on ventilators. Nearly 9 in 10 of those ventilated patients died. But if you look at the age difference, around 76% of ventilated patients between 18 and 65 died. And if you were over that age, 97% of ventilated patients over the age of 65 died. 90%. So essentially what we will look back in history, saying is it could have sounded something like this. Andrew Cuomo was saying, I need more guillotines. I need more guillotines to handle coronavirus. Because that's what they did. And thank God we had Dr. Kyle Seidel come forward and say, hold on a second with the ventilators. I mean, amazing that video stayed up long enough that the world could start shifting its treatment from ventilators. So mistake number 2. New York not only did not heed the advice of the entire world and put their nursing homes at risk, they used as a treatment not oxygen, but ventilators, which killed 9 out of 10 patients that were put on it. New analysis recommends less reliance on ventilators to treat coronavirus patients. Thank God we are learning our lesson. These are the things we have to think about, right? What have we learned from this experience? Are we going to make the same mistakes? All right. Now, on top of everything else, you've done the wrong thing in nursing homes, using ventilators to kill people. And then what about the people that, maybe have had a life-threatening moment, but, we're going to bring them back to life, right? No, not in New York because of these headlines. New York issues do not resuscitate guideline for cardiac patients amid coronavirus. So first responders were outraged over the move. We talked about this last week. They're not giving people a second chance to live anymore. Oren Barzilay, head of the city union, whose members include uniformed EMTs and paramedics, fumed of state officials. Our job is to bring patients back to life. This guideline takes that away from us, he said. So even for people not dying of coronavirus, now you have an issue where you're dying of a heart attack, and where we would normally save you under those circumstances, Governor Andrew Cuomo and the people, in New York have said, nah, do not resuscitate those people. Let dead dogs die, or however the term goes. I mean, it's really quite shocking, but it doesn't stop there, right? One of the problems we've been hearing about, even from Dr. Erickson, is we've cut our staff down. We are not staffing oncologists. We are not staffing heart, surgeons. Here it says cash-starved hospitals and doctors groups cut staff amid pandemic. I mean, some of this is because there's no money coming in. Cardiac calls in 9/11. This is what I want to get to. In New York City, surge. And they may really be more COVID cases. Now, here's the point. Dr. Erickson was making this point, right? He said, what are the outcomes when people are afraid to go into a hospital? And what are the outcomes if someone who has a heart issue is either afraid to come into the hospital, or number 2, their heart surgeon, or who they would normally go to, their doctor, who might give them a stent because they're having some issues and they need to open up that artery? That's not happening. That doctor's been laid off. See, that was the idea. Let's just lay off everybody that's not ICU or ER. Or, I mean, let me not over-exaggerate it. They're filtering them through. It's like, 4 to 5 days on and then 10 to 14 days off to see if you got the coronavirus. So we're all so terrified of COVID-19 that we're telling EMTs don't resuscitate anybody. We don't want them coming in the hospital. Send all the doctors home because we don't want them getting sick. And now at home, you have people that are saying, well, I mean, I have a heart issue. My doctor's not in there, and maybe I'm afraid of COVID-19. How has this affected this? Well, now the New York Fire Department is speaking out. This is what we saw in that report this week. It says, emergency medical services, the part of the fire department that runs the city's paramedic response, is responding to 3 or 4 times its average daily number of cardiac calls, with each call almost twice as likely to involve a death. The dramatic increase of cardiac arrest calls and deaths from cardiac arrest calls demonstrates the impact suspected or confirmed COVID-19 patients are having on 9/11 and what EMS members are having to respond to every day, said a senior fire official. Listen to this. This is incredible. From March 30th to April 5th of last year, 2019, there were an average of 69 calls a day for cardiac patients and 26 deaths, meaning 38% of those calls, they died. Now this year, March 30th to April 5th of 2020, the week ending on Sunday, cardiac calls averaged 284 a day, with 200 deaths a day. 72% of the calls ended in death. That's more than double. That's like, where do we go? 200 deaths as compared to 26? I mean, look at that rise. The number for Sunday were the highest yet out of 322 cardiac calls. 241, or almost 75%, ended in death. This is what Captain Jing Kong, a 16-year EMS veteran, said via the official FDNY Instagram account. I know crews that go from cardiac arrest to cardiac arrest all day. I think that about sums it up. New York is a total fail when it comes to their actions and responses to COVID-19. I used to live there. I have family there right now. My mother-in-law is there, and I'm worried. I'm worried for her. There are better places to live because New York has done everything you could possibly do wrong. It would be really nice to see them start moving in the right direction, wouldn't it?